In this video, I'm going to be talking about my experience having a baby in Mexico, which was very interesting. I definitely would not recommend doing it. It was kind of, I don't know if I'd say traumatic, but it definitely wasn't comfortable. I can tell you that. So first off, I met my husband in Mexico. We got married in Mexico, and then I got pregnant when I was living in Mexico. And I got on the public health insurance, and which is fine, but it doesn't have super great, it wasn't super great health coverage. But I did get to have the baby for free in this place called the Materno, and it's just the public hospital there in Mexico. And so I had a kind of a hard pregnancy to start off with. I'd say 3 months, I started having seizures. And I had seizures from about 3 months to about 6 months. And so I was put on some seizure medication. And then around the time of the due date, which was around end of July, beginning of August, I was given a cervix softener, and the first time it didn't take, so I went in a week later. The second time it finally did take, which was nice, but then I started having these really bad contractions and everything, and I was probably having contractions at home for about, I'd say probably like 8 hours or so, until we finally decided that it was time to head to the hospital. So we get all of our stuff and we call a taxi to head to the hospital because we didn't have a car. So we call a taxi, get to the hospital, and I go in there, and my husband is not allowed to go in there with me, and I have to sit in the waiting room for so long. I don't know, it seemed like it was an hour at least, just going through these contractions, and they hurt really bad, and I was super uncomfortable. There was about 10 other women in there, with their contractions, and their parents waiting outside, and their husbands and things waiting outside for them, and no one can go in the building because in Mexico they have baby theft a lot, and so it was really kind of scary. So I do speak Spanish, so which is nice, which I was able to understand everybody, and I was fine in communication that way, just fine. But just sitting in the waiting room going through my contractions was just really uncomfortable. And so my water finally broke, probably after an hour of getting there, and so I finally get to go back into the room and change into a robe. So I go do that, and then the next thing that they do, which I was not aware of that they did, they spread your legs wide open, they shave you really quick, and then they give you an enema, and then they tell you to go to the bathroom and use the bathroom, because obviously they don't want a big mess. But it all happened so fast, it was really uncomfortable, and just like boom, 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 and there you go. So you go to the bathroom, and then you're taken back to a room with about, I'd say anywhere from 10 to 15 women that are, starting to have their babies. They're going through their contractions still. And then, so I'm in so much pain, and I finally asked, I was like, I really need something for the pain. So they came and they gave me an epidural. And about, I'd say about a minute probably after the epidural, I started feeling like I had to push. And so I told him, I was like, tengo que empujar, I have to push, And so I'm taken to another room it's literally called the extraction room, la sala de extracción. Anyway, I was taken to the extraction room, and that's when I had the baby. I had him, I think I had him in less than, probably in about 20 minutes. It was really fast, actually, for my first baby. That was just really, really fast. And anyway, so I had the baby, they do all the weighing and everything, and then they hand me the baby, and then I'm taken into this other room. And again, another probably about 10, 15, women that have already had their babies. I'm not sure what the room was, but anyway, they hand you this diaper that you have to put on your baby. So I put the diaper on the baby, and I was probably in there a good hour or so, and so they come by in another hour and they hand me another diaper. Well, it's only been an hour since my baby's been born, so I didn't think it was going to need a diaper change. But as soon as they hand you that diaper, you have to change their diaper because they get so mad. They're so rude about it. And they say to me, why aren't you changing your baby's diaper? You do not know how to, you need to learn how to change your baby's diaper, all this kind of stuff. And I'm like, well, it doesn't seem to me like the baby really even needs a diaper change. He's not wet. I don't think it needs one anyway. But anyway, I ended up changing the diaper, and the girl next to me was on her fourth baby, and I think she was probably younger than me. I think she was probably 20. I was 23 at the time. I think she was 20, and the nurse was super rude to her, asking her why she's having so many babies. Like, can she afford all these babies? And you need to go through birth control. You need all this kind of stuff, just being really, really, really rude to her. And I felt so bad. She just had a baby, and they're just talking down to her. And it was just not a good experience. And so after this place, after this room, I was taken into the hallway. And I probably sat in the hallway for about an hour, I would say. And I don't know why I sat in the hallway for an hour. Maybe they just didn't have a place for me at the time. I really don't know. Anyways, I sat in the hallway for about an hour. And then I was finally taken to the room where I would stay for the next 24 hours while they, watch you and make sure you're recovering okay. And that also, again, had another, I was sharing the room, probably about 5 to 7 women who had their baby already. And so I was there, and then as soon as you have to go to the bathroom, you have to walk to the bathroom all by yourself. You can't bring your baby with you. And so what I had to do is I had to take my sheets and I had to make a little nest. And I literally had to just leave the baby on the bed while I went to go use the restroom and then come back to the baby, which really kind of disturbed me because, they go through all these precautions for people not stealing babies, and, you're not allowed to take pictures. You're not allowed to bring anything in there with you. You're not even allowed to have a change of clothes, nothing. The baby has to be in just a diaper and the blanket that they give you after it's born. And so yeah, I just had to leave him on the bed while I went to use the bathroom. So I hurried as fast as I could, got up, went to the bathroom, came back, and I had to do that every single time. And so the girl next to me, we kind of did a thing where we would keep an eye on each other's babies while we went to the bathroom because we were super worried. I think it was both of our first baby, and so yeah, that was a real experience. And the last part of it was you're not allowed to bring anything in for the baby until you leave. So you only have visiting hours twice a day. So my mom had traveled all the way from the United States, all the way from here in Washington, all the way to Mexico to see the baby and everything because it was her first grandson. And so she only got to come in once a day, and only for about 5 minutes because the visiting time is only about, I would say, probably half an hour at the most. And so she got to come see the baby, but only twice a day. The rest of the time I was kind of in there, taking care of the baby. And of course my husband came in there and saw the baby and everything. And then when we go to leave, you have to go to this place where you kind of check out. So you're waiting there for, I don't know, probably another hour or so. Anyway, before that, sorry, I forgot to explain. Before that, you take your baby and you take them to an area where they bathe the baby for you. And there's like probably 4 nurses in there. And, you know, you give them your baby. They bathe your baby for you. And then you pick out what clothes you want your baby to wear. And then they put the clothes on the baby. They bathe them and everything for you. And then you can put them in the car seat and then take them with you. And so that comes to the next part where we went to the waiting room again to wait until we registered and everything like that. And so after that, you know, they make you, put cotton in your ears before you leave, and they make you cover your back because they think that, you know, the milk is going to dry up if you don't do that. And so I had to put cotton in my ears and I had to cover my back. And it was like probably 100 degrees outside, and you have to cover your baby up. You have to put a blanket on no matter what. And I don't know if that's to protect it from the sun or what, but it was really, I don't know, I just was kind of surprised at that. I didn't realize that, you know, you had to do that. And so yeah, that's the craziness of having a baby in Mexico. And I definitely would not recommend doing that. If you do that, maybe have it in a private hospital, but we could not afford a private hospital, and so we didn't have to pay anything to have the baby. But it was definitely not comfortable. The husband can't be in the room with you when you have the baby. Those are all definite cons, and those are some of the reasons why I definitely wouldn't recommend having a baby in Mexico. And just the difference in culture. Like here, you don't have to, you know, cover your ears with cotton, and you don't have to cover your back to leave the hospital. You know, they just let you go. And in Mexico, I had to wait until they, you know, released me and everything. And it was like 24 hours after, and it was just kind of an uncomfortable stay. And so, yeah, it's just not a good idea, definitely. I am very glad I had my boy. This is Joel. This is the one that was born in Mexico, right here. My little Mexican baby. So definitely worth it. But just if you can, do a private hospital, that's so much better, or a private room.